Hey,
How you doing?
great to see you, my friend. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be
Hey,
with Jason Bold, actually one of my drum heroes. And as I said recently, I am so damn proud of you joining BOWLD, man.
thank you,
Fucking,
Raf.
you deserve it so much. And I,
That's,
I really wanted to say this to you. I know how much you have been fighting in the underground, how much hard work you put in. So, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time.
it's a pleasure.
And, and so let's start right on. You did many things, in your career. And first thing is like, are you self-taught, right? Can you explain me more? How did you start playing drums?
Well, it all started really when I was at school. When I was about 12 years old. I come from a musical family, but my dad and my two brothers play guitar. But my friend at school played drums. He's a great drummer, and we used to go down to the local community centre and play. And that's when I realised I wanted to play drums. I just got on the kit one day and we learnt some Iron Maiden beats. And yeah, I was just addicted, and my schoolwork just went downhill and my drumming went up.
That's a typical story, like every.
Yeah. But it was love at first sight, with drums. And I taught myself just by listening to my favourite bands. At the time, it was Van Halen, Anthrax, Metallica, later on Slayer. And then I had only like maybe 3 or 4 drum lessons from a jazz drummer.
Okay, only 3 or 4?
Yeah. But the best thing he taught me was holding the sticks properly. So I'll just grab a stick. Yeah, it was all about playing matched grip, so holding the stick palm downwards. And as soon as I started playing, had a bit of structure to my playing. I love technique, and I just got hooked on the technique and trying to keep the stick in line with the arm and everything, and
Okay.
not playing with the thumb on top.
Okay.
So,
What we call usually French grip here. I don't know if you.
yeah, well, French grip is a valid technique, but it utilizes the fingers, but you shouldn't really strike a drum with your thumb on top, because that's how you can really damage your wrist, because it goes against the hinge. So it should be palm down. So that's how you get the loose motion. But French grip, sure, you can use your fingers with it.
So my question is only 3 lessons you were able to understand so much? I always say, some people are blessed. They can really understand a lot in very short time, and you are one of them. Because in my first 3 lessons, I was understanding actually, I think 16 notes.
Well, I just knew what I wanted. I think I knew what I wanted, and I wanted to be a metal drummer first and foremost. And I wanted to be like my heroes, and I would study them on video and watch how high they were sitting and how they had their kit set up. I used my eyes and my ears, my senses. And now people don't use their senses so much because everything's on a plate on YouTube, which is great. But you have to feel what's good for yourself instead of getting confused over a million different ways of doing one thing.
Okay, that's a very cool advice. My thing is like, I always, I knew about you from the Rhythm magazine. It was for those who are listening, it was a magazine that would cost many euros in Italy. I remember it was fucking expensive, but it was really worth it. Something important back then. You had to pay for your stuff. I mean, it was really not easy to buy them, but the quality was impressive, and there were always lessons from you. I remember about double kick, about and those lessons were really inspiring, really. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? I mean, I never heard about him. So I went to search for you, and I found the band Is Menace, your project.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? So fucking great. That was a project, in my opinion, deserved way more recognition. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, This Is Menace was it was a side project that started with me and Mark, who played bass in Pitchshifter.
Okay.
You know, a long time ago. And
Pitchshifter was before This Is Menace.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, when Pitchshifter started to calm down, Mark and I had this idea to create a metal band with guest singers. And so we started jamming, and then I ended up, well, recording all the instruments on the album. A guitar, bass.
So you play guitar and bass by ear?
Yeah, sure, yeah. And I play guitar. I've got a really awful technique. I play with the guitar upside down because I'm left-handed.
Ah, okay.
But the guitar is I just turn it upside down and play it. So it's just, you know, a lot of guitarists just have a heart attack when they see me play or try and play. I'm not an amazing guitarist at all, but I think if you're a drummer, then you tend to have a good ear for rhythms, and metal is based around rhythmic metal riffs, you know, and they kind of, the drums inform what the guitars are doing a lot of the time. Obviously there's lead melodies and stuff that go over the top, but yeah, it was we basically had the vocalist from oh man, I've got to think now, like Carcass, Amen, Napalm Death, even Charlie from Fight Star, who was in Busted, sang on a song. Yeah, there were many vocalists. I mean, over 2 albums, we hit about 17, 18 vocalists. And it had a really good critical acclaim, you know. It never obviously got massive, but it was a cool underground project, and we managed to do a few gigs.
Always in the UK, because
we did a few festivals in Europe.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and some gigs in Europe, but it's difficult with that amount of singers. But yeah, sorry, you were saying?
No, all the singers were coming to the show, so it was like many flights to be paid, right?
Yeah, we had about 5 singers for a gig, and some of them would cover someone else's song.
Okay.
So, and it kind of worked. There was a bit of good bit of energy about it. But you know, if I hadn't have done This Is Menace, I wouldn't be talking to you now. I wouldn't be where I was. I'm convinced of that.
Really?
So, yeah.
Why? Because Pitchshifter also got some recognition, right? Pitchshifter.
Well, yeah, Pitchshifter did, but that's not why I'm where I am today. I'm convinced I'm where I am today, well, through being stubborn and working hard. But that project, This Is Menace, opened a lot of doors, believe it or not.
I know the drumming was not easy at all. The drumming was very creative.
It was a dream, you know, because I could do what I wanted, and I mixed it all as well and produced it.
I just wait a minute. Did you mix the album?
I did everything, and it was a massive learning curve. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
A friend of mine recorded it at his studios called Vader Studios, which is a really big studio now in the UK. But I mixed it all, and it was a massive learning curve.
I had no idea. So wow. I mean, did you mix from nothing? So you were like, okay, let's try to mix it.
Yeah, I was like, right, how does this work then? And I did it in my bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It drove me mad. I nearly lost my mind doing it, because it was the first time I'd mixed something, you know.
Wow, plus mix something with all those big names on it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm not sure if the album's even on Spotify, but I think one of the albums.
I saw it somewhere.
I think it is. I think that album is on Spotify, but the second album isn't. But I'll tell you why it was so important, and that's because, like, the bands that played on it, Fight Star, Killing Joke, the singers from those bands, I ended up playing with those bands later on.
Okay, now I got it.
So I made contacts. Without knowing or realizing it, I made contacts, and Fight Star asked me to fill in for their drummer Omar, who broke his arm, and Fight Star's management was Bullet for My Valentine's management. So when Bullet had problems with their drummer, because I'd already knew the management from playing with Fightstar, they asked me to fill in. So that's how it works. You see, it's doing.
But you had also the project AxeWound with a singer.
AxeWound happened after I first played with Bullet in 2010.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was before. I thought it was before.
Yeah, and then I played with Killing Joke as well later on when they had problems with their drummer. So
I remember, so at some moment, like your career started to go really like okay, and I was like, okay, now it's happening, because I remember you were playing like too good for the level you were. No offense to anybody.
No, yeah.
You were super pro, still playing smaller gigs.
Yeah, there was a lot of smaller gigs. There was a lot of struggle, a lot of session work really. And I think when I played with Bullet first in 2010, that's when things started to happen. I didn't join Bullet then. I just played 5 shows in arenas, and then when I did that, I had more opportunities. How
is the pressure coming from the underground when you like feeling for My Valentine in an arena? How did you feel? Because honestly, I mean, you know your career depends on that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I felt ready because I spent so long playing in different bands and trying to get somewhere, and you get really disheartened and you feel like giving up in the early days. It's so difficult.
Everybody has been in the same position, like fuck off, this is not for me.
Yeah, I've had and whether it's like business things that get in the way of your love of drumming and music, or whether the band just implodes and it's obvious it's not going to get anywhere, and you just feel like, oh man, is this I just had enough. But deep down that if you stop, no one's going to come and rescue you. You have to go and save yourself and find opportunities.
Yeah, if you
make it happen.
If you stop, would be even worse, because you can blame yourself for quitting too early.
Exactly, and you will have regrets, and you will end up with a job that you hate, because part of the reason why we're doing this is because we have a job that we love. It's a paid hobby, and we're very lucky, and it must never be taken for granted when your job is doing what you love, playing drums, touring the world.
Yeah, I have one question here. Was My Valentine your first big thing? How did you practice in order to play those songs live perfect as you do?
I think it was up to that point, it was the biggest thing I'd done in 2010, for sure. And I only had a couple of days to get ready for those arena gigs.
How many?
2 days.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I mean, 2 days to get ready for a set list to play in arena for a band that you don't know the material?
Yeah, that's right. And I don't see myself as a superhero or anything like that. It was just like, well, I want to do this, and I'm gonna.
It takes a lot of like stay calm and let's.
Yeah, you can't stop thinking about it. So I'd practice the songs.
But even if you practice, 2 days aren't a lot of time.
It's not a lot of time, but in some ways it's good because you're under pressure, and pressure is good for you. So pressure makes you think quicker. Pressure gets the adrenaline flowing, and pressure enables you to do things that you can't normally do or that you wouldn't normally do. So we need pressure. Pressure is important.
To manage it, to learn how to manage it if you want to survive on this business, right?
Definitely. It all comes from wanting to do it. So if you've got a deep-rooted appetite and urge to do something, then you will do it, and you will make sure you do it properly. But having a short amount of time is good because everything stays fresher in your head, and if you had more time, then you kind of get complacent and maybe take things a bit too easy. But if you got 2 days to get ready for 17 songs that you've never heard before, you won't stop playing them, and you'll do anything you
Yeah.
can. So I did. I created cheat sheets, and Bullet isn't. It's not like mathcore or technical metal, but there are moments in the set, and you can get a system together where if you learn one verse and if you learn a chorus, then that's 2/3 of the song, because the next part is the bridge and there's repetitions. So as long as you're thinking the way a song works and trying to find patterns within the song, then you can quickly whittle a 17 song set down to 8 or 10, because songs are similar and you can put them in categories. So I did that, and then I also filmed myself. So the camera was like the audience. So when you film yourself doing something, that creates a little bit of pressure. And it was like, okay, I'm going to film myself and I want to get it perfect. And if I can do that, then I'm ready. So I filmed myself doing the whole set and then sent it to the band to reassure them that I could do it, so that when I turned up at the first venue, I was ready. And obviously, when you do the show, you have sound check, you can play songs, get a feel for the venue, and then you can obviously still practice backstage. But nothing prepares you for when you're behind a curtain and the other side of it is 12,000 people.
I know the feeling, especially, and you're like, oh my God. Sometimes
it's like, what am I doing?
Wow. So, and I have a question. When it comes like for a new gig like this one, what about your in-ears and stuff? I'm always curious because some years ago I had a very bad experience during one of the first shows with Ice Dirt. I had a very bad hearing, and it was really a very difficult gig. So what in those cases, what do you do? What do you say to your sound guy? What do you try to?
Well, in some cases, in some ways it's too late in the middle of a gig if you've got bad sound. I mean, you can communicate with your drum tech that will communicate to the monitor guy. But if you're playing to a click, number one, you need to hear that. So everything else must come down. So that would be my advice, I think. Let's get the click sorted, the metronome. And then for me, the next most important thing is bass drums.
Okay.
Because if I play a lot of double kick, I need to be in total control of my feet. And if I can hear them clearly, then I'm not going to play too hard in the fast moments where I need to relax and get the ankles moving. So if you can't hear yourself properly, the tendency is to play harder, isn't it? And then
everything is and then you got like burned. You are burned up in 4 songs.
Yeah, you create tension, and tensions for a drummer is not good.
Yeah, happened to me last show. We were in Torino. I couldn't hear the kicks, and at the half of the show, my leg was something was
twice the size.
Yeah, I thought he put some gate on my ears.
Oh,
so I was like really hitting it, because some parts were. I was like, wow, am I hitting too soft?
Oh man, that really pisses me off. Like
what do you ask? What do you say? It's like no gauge, just
our last monitor guy, I said I don't want any fucking gate on the kick drum. Okay, don't fucking gate it, because what they do is they set the gate so that when you're playing at a medium volume, you can't hear the kick, or the attack is quieter.
Yeah. So,
and he said, okay, no gate. There's no gate. So anyway, we did this tour, and this was last summer, and I was like, my kick drums don't sound like they normally sound. And anyway, I did the 3 months, like it. And then on the recent tour we've just done, we had our old monitor guy back, and I said, Pete, is there anything on the bass drums? And he said, yeah, there's this weird transient designer, which is like a gate. And I was like, take that fucking thing off now. And as soon as he did, it was like, there are my bass drums, natural, how I'm playing them, how I want them to sound and feel.
Sound okay.
So yeah, never trust a monitor man you don't know.
Never trust. And the next question is like, how did you practice in order to play those songs live? Do you have any tips for practicing the songs?
I think you got to play the songs like a gig. But when you're used to them, now, for instance, I've been at home for 2 weeks. I haven't touched my drums. I have, but I'm going to start just getting back into the live stuff tomorrow. And I'm not going to play like the set of songs in a full-on way. I'm just going to just play them and relax and just get them, into my, just to keep myself in touch with it. Because I'm on tour again in 3 weeks.
Okay. So you will just start.
Yeah, just warming. Yeah.
But same songs or new songs?
I think it'll be the same songs, but we're supporting Megadeth in America.
Okay.
So it'll be a shorter set, and then we're going to do our own tour in America.
Okay, so anyway, you are, even if you already toured with those songs a couple of weeks ago, you are now restarting to feel them. I mean, but you know this songs pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, but you must never relax too much. Like, oh, I'll be okay. I know the songs, because your brain can do funny things.
I like to talk with people like you, because you're always super prepared. Even if you know that you've been playing for 10 years, you keep pushing, you keep practicing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, the guy say, never trust a monitor guy should be on a t-shirt. Yeah, we should make it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Never trust a monitor guy who's telling you no problems, man.
Yeah, he lied, he lied to me.
Wow. Wow. Anyway, some people are saying hello to us. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey Carlo. Hey Sarah.
Hello. And so I saw the guy said, I was worried about learning 70 songs in 2 weeks. Now I feel dumb but motivated. Man, I mean, 70 songs in 2 weeks are the dream of every last minute gig guy, because they call you like, can you do it tomorrow? Like 12 songs in one day. So that usually you have very little time to learn the songs, and no rehearsals, right?
No rehearsals, no.
I mean, I have a question. How is it possible that you don't find time? I mean, not you, but the band doesn't schedule a rehearsal in those very difficult moments. Wouldn't it be like less stressful for everybody to fucking just meet early on, just and do that? Because this is my.
I think I needed. It made more sense for me to have time at home learning the songs properly.
Okay.
So yeah, that was why.
In the sound check, you did some songs.
Yeah, played a few songs. Yeah.
Okay.
But your senses are so sharp, because I think anyone could do it, because it's like someone saying, giving you this opportunity to play arenas. It's like that's the dream right there, and
yeah.
It's like I must have that. I must do it. And I'll do it whatever it takes to play those songs. It's a service. At the time, I was offering a service to the band, because they said that if I didn't do it, they wouldn't have done the tour, which have been a catastrophe.
Yeah, exactly. If you weren't ready like 100%, it would be a catastrophe. You see, definitely they trust you 100%, and this is fucking cool. Yeah, I mean. When I saw recently, I was in Milano, and I could see Jay's playing with the band, and I was really impressed by all the respect they have, and how they treat him nicely. Well, it's not always like this, Drummers are not always very well treated by the band.
Yeah.
You know the story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's blaming the drummer for everything.
We're like the goalkeeper.
Exactly.
You can have a great game, but if you let in one goal, you're like the enemy. Everyone hates you. But I'm lucky with my band. I mean, I love them, and we all get on really well. And obviously, there's not really arguments at all. But if we think someone's done something wrong, we say.
Yeah, and then you've been. How many years have you been in the band now?
It's coming up to 8 this November,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
and I can't believe that. It's just crazy.
It's crazy.
But yeah, everyone is down to earth. There's no egos
No, no,
in
I
Bullet.
know. I remember I met your bass player. He was the really coolest guy ever. Super nice one. I have one question for you. When you did the step, like, okay, so you played with Ballet a couple of shows, they were great.
Hmm.
Then you had a project called AxeWound with the singer from Ballet, right?
Yeah, with Matt. Yeah, yeah,
Can you tell me something about it?
yeah. Well, when I had done my work with Bullet the first time in 2010, it was like, okay, the Bullet will get back to normal with Moose, original drummer, and that's probably it. And then, like, I think it was a year later, Matt contacted me and asked if I wanted to do like a side project. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And so the vibe was we just wanted to do something really aggressive, really natural, what would come out of us without overthinking it. And we the brief we gave to ourselves was like Slipknot, really raw and aggressive. And we wrote the AxeWound album in 2 weeks and recorded the
Wow.
drums. Yeah, yeah. But we did a song a day basically, and it was
Wow. I
awesome.
will. I will put it on my list to listen
I love
playlist.
that album because I love the drum sound on it. I really love the drum sound. It's so raw and aggressive. And we said to we got a guy called Machine to mix it, and Machine had done the Pitchshifter albums back in the day,
Okay.
and he'd also done some Lamb of God stuff. And he did such an amazing job on it. And I said to him, look, we want to keep it raw. We don't want things like quantized. We want any mistakes there are or timing mistakes, leave them alone.
Wow. That's
And he
yeah.
did. And there are mistakes on the album, like not like really bad mistakes,
No,
but the
no. There are
timing.
what makes human a human.
Yeah. And I love it. And I have the separate files. And I listened to the drum
Okay.
tracks not so long ago. And I was like, wow, how did I get away with that?
But I know, something interesting. When I don't like to hear the records what I played that are
Yeah.
overproduced. I don't like any. I like, even if I don't like the mistakes, but I like that somehow it makes more sense to me to hear a record where I really played on it 100%, or
Yeah.
there are few the albums where I played and they've been quantized. I can't really hear them because I don't feel any emotional connections.
Oh,
Sometimes
I see. Yeah.
sometimes that snare is a little bit early or late makes something
Mm.
different. So AxeWound was like that. I can see from YouTube AxeWound actually a video has 2.3 million views, so it went
Mm.
pretty, even to be a side project, it went pretty well. Did you tour? Did
It
you?
did. Yeah, we did. We did a few festivals. We played with Kill Switch Engage. We did a small UK tour, and that was it. The job was done. It was complete. Because obviously Bullet is a big operation, and when we're not touring, we have to, relax, and then we have to write a Bullet album. So there's no time to do AxeWound.
Anything else? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do
So
a little bit of writing, but yeah.
so when you're not touring with the band, you are writing new stuff. You are like for getting ready for new things. There are no really time off.
Well, this is supposed to be time off right now, but when I got back, I had a studio session to do, like a random thing, and then I'm currently writing some music for Sky. So at home,
Okay.
I write for TV stuff basically.
That's cool. That's cool. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for about 10 years now, on and off.
TV, sorry, for TV shows. For TV.
Yeah, basically the music is used for anything from like football, for the background music. It may be a song for a trailer for a new film, like a music used in a thriller or a drama. that kind of thing, or even like an advert for Sky's channels. And what they do,
you write everything and you record.
I write everything. Yeah. So some of it's like electronic music, some of it's like maybe rock, but not so much rock really. Some of it's been orchestral, some like really kind of how do you say it, trippy stuff.
You create orchestral music by ear. This is what.
Yeah.
Wow, man! Wow, this is impressive.
It's like if you hear melodies in your head, then you just learn how to. It's good because you're educating yourself. It's like, how does an orchestra work? You know, how do you know what to play, what melody on what instrument? Because you've got double bass, cello, viola, violins. Where does everything go? And it's obvious, you know, the slower movements go on the lower instruments. Cello and violin work together. Cello is a lower register, violin is higher. And if you think like that, then you can find out where the melodies go. You know, it only takes one melody. Most of the time,
you're a man with many surprises, man. As I said,
it's just
many talents.
It's just fun, you know, Raph. It's just having fun with it, and the orchestral thing's interesting. Most of the time in an orchestra, if you've got a 70-piece orchestra with brass, strings, percussion, woodwind, everything's kind of doing the same thing. It's just a wall of sound. And
can you tell us later on, if you send me some links of the music you created, if there is on YouTube, I will put it on the description of the video so people can hear it, because you did so many things and not so many people knows about it. That's what I said. I mean, of course, ballet is very important, and nobody is saying that it's not. But you did so many things that I believe. I mean, if somebody likes your drumming in ballet, I believe they should definitely check what you did before, also.
I mean,
your play along. Sorry, your play alongs. Can you had a couple of play alongs on your website? And
I did, yeah. I used to, yeah. I think it was some bullet stuff that I had up there, but that's gone now, actually.
Was the song Red Ant?
Fire. Yeah, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, well, that was stuff that I wrote for. I don't know where that stuff is, you know, because it's on YouTube, isn't it?
No, because I bought it when it came out, and I was always hoping to have new songs to learn, because I remember actually learning songs from you. The way you created them, the way you put the patterns were always challenging, but in a very interesting way. So, I mean, it was frustrating. I was like, fuck this guy. But on the other side, the song was so cool that I was like, I somehow I will make it. I don't know how long it will take it, but I will do it. Plus, all the transcriptions were very well done. So it was kind of, I mean, it was not easy, but if you really like, okay, I will just spend a couple of days doing it. At the end, you will make it.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, this was like an urban style, wasn't it? There was like a dubstep song, a metal song, Red Ant. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to probably put that back up on, because my new website is being developed at the moment.
Plus, you had all the "This Is Menace" song without the vocals and the playbacks.
That's right. Yeah. There was.
I bought a lot of stuff from your website, man.
You're probably the only one.
No. Plus, you also worked on the other side. You had a site with many free lessons. Do you remember that?
I did. Yeah, it was a site called New Fusion. So this New Fusions. Yeah, this was really important. A really important part of my life. So we're going back to like 2006. So basically, I did a drum clinic in my local town, and there was a drummer called Zorro, very famous drummer. He played with Lenny Kravitz back in the day.
Okay, you didn't know that.
I was supporting him, and I met this guy at the drum clinic called Paul Brook, And Paul was like maybe 50 years old at the time, and he said he developed drum samples. Basically, he was a drummer. And anyway, I met with Paul, and it turns out Paul was one of the best drummers I've ever met. And Paul actually became a teacher for me. So this is when I really started to learn more stuff. And this was obviously a long time after I started playing drums, and I felt like I was learning rapidly again. It was like a second learning. And so Paul was a hugely important part.
How would you learn? I mean, like, would you hang out with him and just play
Yeah,
along?
he'd say, come over. I'm going to show you some Brazilian rhythms, some Latin rhythms. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you them, and you're going to fuse them with rock. And that's where we created this new fusion thing. So the new fusion site was born from us creating ideas, and he showed me lots of odd groupings that are still part of my drum clinics today. And he, some of the beats off the This Is Menace album actually come from me learning with Paul. And yeah, I can't stress how important it was that I met him, because I wouldn't be the drummer I am now if I hadn't met Paul.
Wow.
He was that important.
I remember there were many. Sorry, unfortunately, he died, right?
He died, yeah. He had cancer probably 2 or 3 years after I met him. And he was notating stuff and still coming up with crazy ideas from the bed in his living room as when he was dying. And yeah, he was doing stuff right up until he died. And yeah, it's really sad. He died too early. And he was playing drum clinics. Actually, he started doing drum clinics when he was in his mid-50s, and people really respected him because they could see what a great drummer he was. And yeah, he was taken from us too early. Yeah,
I remember there were some great concepts like rope paradiddles. Like you would take the final part of the paradiddle and make it an odd rhythm. There were like the crazy cymbal choke stuff. Actually, as I showed you, one of them I used on a song from Crippled Bastards, and everybody was like, "Wow, how did this one hand thing came from you?" Plus, you had a very weird video from that period. Like you were playing on the grass somewhere. You recorded an video, right?
It was in my friend's field.
Okay. I was like, wait a second, but it sounded very good. But it sounded very good, actually.
Yeah, it was just sort of, trying to do something different. But yeah, it was. I mean, Paul actually he covered the drums for a Genesis album. He re-recorded the drums. Something happened to the drum tracks. I don't know the details, but I heard this, but he never told anyone. But I heard that he actually replaced some drums on a Genesis album. A long time ago. Again, I don't know how much truth there is in it, but there must be some truth. But yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Okay. I remember, many stories from there. I remember, so you knew about Joy Jordison in the studio. I remember you told me he was very good in the studio because you had a friend of yours who worked with him, right, in the early days.
Joey Jordison?
Yeah. A friend of yours recorded him or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Colin Richardson.
Colin, of course, Colin Richardson.
Yeah, produced Slipknot. Yeah, and Joey was great. He had raw energy.
Those records are fucking killer. If you hear the drums, like it's like somebody. I mean, you can hear somebody fucking. I love the energy of the first 2 records.
It's so raw.
Yeah, it's so real. It's so fucking real.
And
the second album, Iowa, starts with a drum fill that every day nobody would have left it. They would have like, okay, do it again. It's not clean enough,
Yeah.
If you the fucking first, but I believe the energy and the ideas and the aggression is that's why I like actually those records way more than the new ones.
Well, they've got magic, and it was about recording drums to create magic. and once that magic is there, it's impregnated, forever. But things that maybe are a little too easy now when you're recording, or if you do record magic, then the magic gets diluted by technology, Pro Tools, making sure everything's too perfect. And I don't like that. Matt, the singer from Bullet, we spoke about that we wanted to do the last album with no click. But unfortunately, Carl, he wasn't having it, our producer.
Okay, yeah, the producer
Yeah.
will never say it's a good idea.
I mean, I appreciate it's so much work
Yeah,
that
afterwards.
you'd have to do. Yeah. But I definitely want to try it on an album. I think it would be criminal if Bullet didn't do an album that was kind of in the spirit of those early Slipknot albums where, I mean, I think they were to click, but it was loose,
Yeah,
But
I can imagine. Yeah, like having a click, but not being too. It's like a
yeah,
reference. It's like It's like a clock going. So if we some parts we fucking skip it, let's leave it.
exactly. Yeah.
I have one question since we're talking about recording and stuff. You have your own library of sounds from like
Toontrack.
Toontrack. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
How was
Yeah.
it? How was it?
Awesome. I mean, we went to we recorded it in Belgium, I think, and with Mathias, who's the head of Toontrack. And he told us that we started Toontrack with a drum kit from Hell.
I remember, like in the early days, like the Meshuggah library.
That's
Thomas
right.
Hagen.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said he did it in his flat, and then it became a multi-million euro company.
Wow.
Gradually. And when we did the drums, we had 4 different drum kits. And
Sorry,
basically multi-sampled each drum, each cymbal.
Plus,
the signal,
did you record
the
also your? Sorry, because your audio was one question. Did you record also your grooves too, or only samples? You have also some playing, or only the samples?
The grooves were recorded on a MIDI kit, so they were MIDI files that people could use, basically, with the drum samples.
Okay. Because I remember the sound was vastly.
Do we have problems with the signal?
Yeah, I cannot hear you, but my signal here is going pretty well. I think your camera, but now I can hear you well.
Okay.
Well, okay. Your image sometimes.
It might be my children playing games.
Okay. No problem. So the library is from Toontrack, and plus the MIDI files. But you have your own studio also back home, right? Okay, sorry. One question about the rehearsals from BOWLD My Valentine. Are you all from the UK, right?
Yeah.
But did you like
the band is actually from Wales. We rehearse in Wales, actually, in Cardiff. So I'm from England, but the rest of the band are from Wales.
Okay. I can hear you. I'm just waiting because I think there is some delay, so I'll wait before asking the next question. How did it change your life from being like an underground hero to being in a big band? What would you say was the biggest difference for you? Your audio is going back and forth. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'd say the difference is not being at home a lot.
Because how much shows do you make for a year? A year? How many shows do you play?
Well, I think on a full-on tour, probably 150.
What?
Maybe 150 shows.
50.
Yeah.
Let me write it.
Yeah. On a proper. Yeah, on a proper
That's a
tour.
lot. I mean, 150
Yeah,
shows, and there's no time for anything else. Because I remember you had also your own drum lesson program called Hit and Drum, but I guess you don't have time to teach anymore, right? Very, very.
I did. Yeah, and I just didn't have time to pursue it. I have a few students who I teach at home. Like I teach online and I teach here at my house, but I don't take too many students on because when I go away on tour, I would hate to leave a lot of people without a teacher. So yes, that's why I keep it small.
Especially if somebody's a beginner, they need to see you like more often than you can see them, I guess. Okay, so the connection is.
Yeah, and I try and keep in touch with my
But still, if you
students.
tour that much, it's very hard. It's very hard. I mean, 100,
Shall we?
150 shows. I can hear you. Maybe you can hear me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
If you wanna, you can try like because we, as we said, we have 1 hour, so we're getting to the end. Let's see if we can. If
I can hear you.
you can you? Because your connection. Yeah, I can hear you. So I guess your connection. Ragazzi, è il momento di fare domande. Chi ha domande le faccio adesso. Yes, I said to the guys, chi ha domande le faccia ora. If there are some questions, so we will leave your kid playing video games in peace. Last question. I have a question for you. Clinic tour. Are you up to do that? When are you coming back to Italy? When you're coming back to do what we did in the early days? Because as I always say this, but My Valentine find out that Jason was a great drummer after I did. So because I was your fan when we first met at the Music Messe, early days. I remember, wow, who is this guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when we met. Yeah. I would love to come back to Italy and do a drum clinic tour.
Okay, that's what I believe. Since things are going.
Yeah, I would love to come back to
Things here,
Italy.
we are growing up as a school, and we are now always more into doing events and stuff. We did our first international drum fest a couple of weeks ago. It was a success. We had Mike Terrana and Ramon Montagnier, so it was like a very important step. So we want to do it again, and you will be one of our guests. So let me see. We have a couple of minutes more. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, I think we've just got a problem with our video, haven't we? So people are probably seeing me
Yeah.
very still.
Like a picture.
But
Okay.
you can hear me.
I can hear you sometimes. It just freezes and just comes back. But I believe we spoke about the what we had to, so no need to. We can. Okay, well, we have a question though. How many days have a year in your life? If you play 150 shows a year, how can you do that? How was it physically?
Shall we try? Should we log out and log back in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to do it. I will be here. You can close the window.
Well,
and then
that is.
Vediamo se si è bloccato. Ci sei?
Ok.
Yeah. No. Ok, adesso torna, ragazzi, quindi lo facciamo sloggare e tornare. Grazie a voi che seguite queste live, come sapete, lo faccio, a me fa piacere ovviamente, ma se non ci foste voi mi agganciamo al cazzo, perché per me è molto bello poter parlare con questi batteristi che alla fine, se ci notate, ci danno lezioni praticamente gratis, tutti i consigli, tutte cose da alcuni dei migliori batteristi al mondo. Io conosco Jason BOWLD da 12-14 anni. Ricordo ancora che la prima volta che l'ho visto ho detto: ma questo dove cazzo è uscito? Eravamo andati al Music Mess con degli amici con così un po' a vedere com'era la situazione, e lui faceva degli eventi, un seminario, in cui suonava le canzoni che ha scritto lui, quindi canzoni che lui suona da Dio, cioè roba proprio allucinante, che infatti se voi cercate nel canale YouTube Jason BOWLD, Raphael Saini, troverete un sacco di video che io ho fatto su di lui. Adesso vediamo se Jason torna, mentre vi rispondo un pochettino. Esatto, non è un canale per fighetti, mai, questo non sarà mai un canale per fighetti. Tra l'altro non è un canale per fighetti, dovete sapere che io oggi, perché non avevo tempo, ho finito ad allenarmi con i pesi e la roba qui sotto in sala a fianco alla batteria, roba tipo la John Rambo, però per voi questo ed altro. Paolo dice: grazie a voi, oltre che musici, siete persone fantastiche. Ci proviamo, Paolo, anche noi non è che siamo perfetti, anzi, diciamo che cerchiamo di non essere dei coglioni. Questo è una cosa che proviamo a fare tutti i giorni. È sempre un piacere, si impara un'occasione di cose, continua così, grandissimo. Grazie Carlo, ma infatti l'idea è proprio quella di fare una cosa, cioè ti dico proprio la verità sincera, io lo faccio per me, perché alla fine sono io quello che impara. Ok, are you there?
How we doing?
Oh, okay, perfect. I was thanking the guys who came to the live. There is a question about what drums do you use? What model of drums from Pearl do you use live?
I use Masterworks. They're a birch finish. The wood is birch. It's custom made kit.
Can you tell us the sizes? Can you hear me?
I think we still got problems.
Maybe your connection is not working perfectly, because mine is.
Yeah. I think we still got problems with the.
Yeah. Too bad. Okay, so let's do it like this. Let's just because my connection is working. I guess you have problems. Morto. Birch betulla, esatto. Ok, proviamo un pochettino. Let's try this one.
Hello, I'm on my phone now.
Yeah, you can do it. Let me see if the connection is working. Okay, so the question was about what Pearl model do you use on the live performances?
Okay, so I use Pearl Masterworks kit, and it's custom made. So the wood is birch. I had a kit made out of birch because you can't get drum kits that are made out of birch anymore.
Really?
Yeah, you can't. And Pearl said that they used to make one, but they said that it's an old school thing. But birch is it's amazing how it's pre-EQ'd, like the toms. That there's no muddy mid-range in the toms, and the drums are really cutting. They have great attack. So that's why I wanted a birch kit to use live, and they always record well too. The snare drum.
About about the sizes of the drums.
The sizes I use 10, 13, and 16 and 18.
Interesting. Why 10, 13 and not 10, 12?
Well, because
it's pretty uncommon, right?
It's uncommon, but it makes sense because the size is equal then, 3 inches apart, 10, 13, 16. It makes more sense.
No, it's interesting. So I always like you because you always, I mean, like the time you came with where you had the reverse kick drum and the wrong double pedal, you were putting like your kick drum on the left. You remember that?
Yeah, and it doesn't look
like,
yeah.
I was like, Jason, can I teach you how to build your drums? Because it looked like, but at the end, you said something very interesting. I said, in this way, my second thumb can go lower. I mean, it was weird, but it made sense. So
yeah, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look pretty at all, you know.
That was the only bad thing.
Yeah.
About it.
But there's a drummer, Abe Laboriel Jr., who played with Paul McCartney, and he had his kit set up like that because his bass drum was a 28-inch bass drum.
Wow.
So he had to have his bass drum off, like on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, sorry, so he could have his rack tom low enough because obviously there's a space there.
Wow.
But yeah, there is method behind the madness.
No, I know. I mean, it's a typical thing. Like if anybody else in the world would have telling me that, I would say you are getting crazy. But if you say so, I'm sure there's some truth on it. What about the kicks? What about the kicks? The sizes?
Kick drums are 22 by 18. So normal size. I used to use 24-inch bass drums, but I remember. Yeah, I can't see the point. I mean, you definitely lose a bit of punchiness.
Okay.
And I think
too boomy.
Just they get a bit muddy, and you end up having to dampen them, especially for metal music. I think if you're playing slower rock, where you need a bit more of a baggy sound, of a rounder punch, then 24s would work. But when you're playing really fast metal, I actually think 20-inch bass drums would be cool.
I heard about it too. Some sound guy says that the 20-inch bass drums are actually better for music.
I might try those next time.
And then let me know. I'm curious about drum heads. What's
drum
your
heads? Yeah, I use Evans G2s on the toms, and they are incredible drum heads. You don't have to break them in. They make the drums sound natural with them on.
Okay, and what about? Sorry, we forgot about the snare. What about your snare?
Well, the snare drum is, in my opinion, the best snare drum in the world. It's a brass reference, and it weighs a ton. It's 14 by 6.5.
Okay.
But it sounds incredible. You can actually crank it quite tight and not lose any body from the drum. So it sounds like it's got quite a lot of depth. But it's a fantastic snare drum, and I have a Ludwig Black Beauty, and it actually makes that sound like a cheap drum.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I never thought I'd say that, but my Black Beauty is just in a case gathering dust. Wow, I don't really use it.
Cool to know. Another question is about the cymbals. You've been now endorsing Paiste many years, like 14 or something.
Yeah, I don't know when it was. I mean, was it when you saw me in Music Messer?
I saw you at the Music Messer. Yeah.
And I was using Paiste. I was, wasn't I?
I remember. I was very young, and I was dreaming about. I wasn't endorsed by Meinl, or maybe it was my very beginning, because I remember I was like watching those cymbals and I was dreaming about having. No, I was not endorsed by Meinl, I guess. So it was very early on. Yeah. And you had those amazing cymbals, and I saw I remember the ride, hand hammered, and all. Yeah. I mean, you had and you were the first guy actually I saw using Audix D6 on the kick, because you used to bring your own mic and put it on the kick drum.
Oh yeah. I remember. I still got those mics. I still use those mics on my kick drums.
Ah, okay.
And
I remember you. What did you use? I mean, for your monitor, you always prefer that sound for your ears?
Yeah. Just because it had a natural high frequency to it, where the click of the drum came through. So it was just great for plugging into a mixer and having an instant, pre-mixed kick drum sound, if you like, straight into your ears.
Yeah, it's a great microphone. It's a fucking great microphone.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay, so about the cymbal, you said Paiste. Can you tell us a little bit about your cymbal choice? This is the last question anyway.
So the cymbals, I use Paiste signature heavy reflectors for my crashes, and I use a 19, 20, and another 19, and then the Nova China, which is one of the best chinas that Paiste do, in my opinion. Power ride, signature power ride, a couple of splashes, and some sound edge hi-hats, sometimes heavy reflector hats. So they're all reasonably heavy cymbals, but they sound nice. And even the Paiste 90, I think they're 902s, 900s, they sound fantastic. They're like a cheaper cymbal, but they sound amazing. And I've used those live as well, and they last as well. I don't break them.
So, I have one question. On the live, I saw you had like some plexiglass, some in front of it. It's like, so they don't go to the mic on the singer mic or something like this, or just a dampening. What's that?
Oh yes. For? So the shields are
the shields.
Yeah, I kind of hate them, but I understand why they're there. So because the cymbals spill down Matt's vocal mic.
That's I had the same problem with one tour, and I didn't know what they were like taping my cymbals, but they were, and then because when they tape cymbals, it's even worse because then
It
the
sounds
rebound
awful.
sounds awful, and the rebound is shit. So
Yeah.
I guess
It sounds like they're broken.
Yeah, so
But,
I guess shields are better.
But and you know, before that, my cymbal sound in a gig would just be the vocal mic, which isn't cool, you know. But now there is cymbals actually coming down the overhead mics, or people can hear the overhead mic more.
But yeah, so
they can hear the proper cymbal sound. So it does have its advantages. It doesn't look that nice, to be honest with you, having those shields. But that's how it is. You know.
I remember the sound on the show was one of the best I heard so far. Was not too loud. Everything was clear. It was very, very well mixed. So congratulations to your sound.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, sound
very
man.
good. So Emilio Jason said one day about how drummers should be. The drummer should be consistent, keeping the time, and respect the music. So great words. Thanks, Maestro. So Emilio is a fan of yours.
Thank you.
Jace, I want to thank you for your time.
Pleasure, always.
You're always welcome here. And as I said, I'm so proud of you. And I always say this, man, you completely deserved. And you are an inspiration for everybody who is still fucking fighting. You know, you are a fucking inspiration because you fought so much. I mean, I know. So you deserve it. And thanks for being,
very much,
and thanks for being an inspiration for me over the years. I always say this. You are my two biggest influences in metal are Fernando Schäfer and you. So know that. I always say that.
Thank you. Well, look, I want to thank you for having me, and thank you for being a solid friend over the past 15 years. So that means a hell of a lot. And it's great that I can talk to you about drums and hopefully come over to Italy soon.
We will meet pretty soon, man. As I said, we'll keep in touch and we'll make it happen again. So thank you again, Jace.
Awesome.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye bye. Quindi, ragazzuoli, grazie a tutti per essere rimasti qua. Oggi facciamo il finale alternativo. Mi sono un po' emozionato perché Jason è un amico di vecchissima data, e vedere un amico che si è fatto il culo come una capanna passare dai gruppi non più sfigati, ma dai gruppi un po' così a suonare con uno dei gruppi metal più grossi che ci sono è una grande gioia. E notare che non è un'invidia, è una grande gioia la mia. Sono felice che sono amico ha successo, e soprattutto una cosa molto ispirante per me e spero anche per voi. Come sempre, ragazzi, grazie a tutti per il supporto. Se volete dare una mano al canale a crescere, basta mettere un like, un commento, condividere i miei video con i vostri amici e, come dicono in Nothing More, we don't stop. Ragazzuoli, grazie a tutti.